Welcome to the Better Two podcast. I'm your host, Donna. Today's guest, well, I'm kind of actually really happy to have him back. Christian Dryden from the Ritualists is back, and he's brought a friend, his guitarist, David Andreana. And, well, we talk about new music. We talk about the pending UK tour for the Ritualist, as well, a whole bunch of stuff. So tune in, guys. Hi, guys. How are you doing? I would like to welcome Christian back, and today he's brought a friend, his guitar player, David. So hi,
Hello,
guys.
hello.
Hello.
So you got some big things coming. You have new music coming, but you also have a tour coming up, and that's one thing that we really want to talk about is your UK tour. Is this the first time, we'll say, as a band that you're going over there?
Very much so. Yes.
And how excited are you?
I'm extremely excited. I mean, as you know, and we previously discussed, many, I would say 95% of my personal influences, and I think even you could say about the band, our collective
Absolutely.
influences.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
would
we're
say
traveling to the motherland,
yes.
you know?
Yeah.
It's like
And so this
So
is is this the first time personally for each of you to go over there, or have you been there before to the motherland?
I have been to the motherland. You've been over, right?
I've been as a tourist, never as an artist. So this will be the first time playing playing music there. I've been there to just, tour the city and everything. I love London. It's a lot of fun.
Well, you could do what that school teacher did, because I know you're a Duran fan. Go knock on Simon's door and say you have a project for him. Because apparently he came out one day and took pictures with this woman as a school
I saw
project.
that.
Yeah.
Just don't get arrested. We need you for the shows. So no trespassing, please.
Well, I mean,
Yeah,
he's got a legit reason. He can sit there and say, my band was on Whoosh.
that's right. I wonder if Simon
As
will
he's being
remember.
carried away, my band was on Whoosh.
Okay, and Christian knows this. I've been a Duran fan for a long time, and there used to be fans, I had pen pals in England, that would send me pictures of them outside of their houses meeting them. And I mean, there were some not so pretty pictures, but they were pictures out there and they were used to people. So I don't think you'd get arrested. But then again, that was 30, 40 years ago. Times have
Yeah,
changed.
Yeah, times have.
I everyone I've spoken to who has had interactions with that band, they've all said they're really nice guys. They're pretty down to earth, and they're really kind to their fans. So I wouldn't be too nervous about it. And actually, one of the managers who's bringing us over to England is Nigel Hart, who manages Don Brown, who is Duran Duran's current guitar player. So he's sort of the one of the main reasons we were able to do this tour is Nigel. So thank you,
So,
Nigel.
Yeah, thank you.
so who says that Nigel couldn't get an introduction to have someone come out and see your show
That may happen. You
in
know,
London? It's
no
in you're playing.
promises have been made, but attempts. I think attempts will be made, but I don't think there are any promises.
No, but it's always, you can dream, can't you?
Absolutely, absolutely. And if it happens, you'll be the first to know.
Okay. Okay. It's no big deal. Like I said, the only member I have not met is Andy. I've met everybody else. And I haven't really talked to Dom. I've seen Dom, but I did not talk to Dom. But yeah, so pretty much they're all decent guys, and I don't think you'd have a problem. And I wouldn't surprise me if Simon did show up at your show.
Oh, that
Is is Andy
would
the
be a
wild
thrill.
one? Is he
And
considered like the
Andy was the original guitarist, and he was a little
Mhm.
outlandish back in the day. Yes.
So
Uh,
Andy was the wild one, not Simon.
I'm sure they all were in the
I have
80s. Come on.
stories that I could tell that I will not tell on air. Nothing really bad, but they liked to party at one point.
Okay.
Off air, I can tell you more, but on air, I will not because I don't go there. But anyway, so
Got
They
it.
they allegedly liked to party. That's what he
I worked in insurance for a long time, and my husband used to joke that was my favorite word, allegedly.
allegedly.
Yes. So we're not alleging anything. You're going on tour. Are you, we talked about the excitement. Are you worried about what's going on in the world while heading over there? Are you worried about coming back to the States or anything? Legit question. I know that's a damper, but I just have to ask legitimately, are you concerned about getting back into this country?
Getting back from England, going
Yes.
to England, or in
Yes.
general
In
traveling?
general, the whole travel thing.
What do you go ahead, Dave?
Everyone told me I've been traveling a lot lately, and there's no one at the airport. So as far as that goes, like that's been easy. But as far as just being uncomfortable being in another country or getting back into our country, I think we'll be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, there you have it.
to be fair, guys, I pose these same questions to when I talk to Ian Dench from EMF
Mhm.
and Lamal. So when they come over here, I ask them the same question. This is just reverse. So no
For
offense
sure.
taken or meant.
No, no.
No.
Um, I do want to talk about you have a new song, or am I wrong, called Messiah that's going to be coming out.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Because I
yeah. We
saw that
have
on Instagram a little bit. So
we have actually, when we were recording the prior record, we laid the groundwork for an EP with the same producer, Mario McNulty. And so we're just going to be touching up some vocals, and hopefully we'll have new material out probably before the end of the summer. And that is one of the songs. Yeah. And well, we may even play it on this tour and try it out, you know.
always best to do that. So what was the inspiration for it?
Um the skeleton, the bones of the song, I actually came up with after spending a lot of time with the Who's Tommy record. I just, I've always been a Who fan, but I don't remember what it was, but something in the press made me revisit it, and I wanted to experiment with a song that had a lot of tempo changes because our recent material is very very dancey, which I like, and I like the way the crowds have been responding to it. But I wanted sort of an outlier and something that would really sort of get very basic in the beginning and bring everything down, and then something that would really rise in terms of intensity. And I think Messiah sort of does that, and it's nice to have, to throw a curveball into the set. I thought we needed it, so that was sort of the beginnings of. And Dave can speak further about his guitar parts on the song. We originally called the song "Seismic Shift," which is basically the first line of the song, but I think Messiah makes a lot more sense if you really dig deeper into the lyrics.
I'm glad you said that because I had no idea what we were talking about for a second there because I still call it seismic shift. And on every
Of
set
course you
list, it still
do.
said seismic shift. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, Messiah. Um, no, that song is great. And it's something that breaks it up a lot just with like all the tempo changes and just the changes with the keyboards coming in and things just kind of floating in and out. Um, I can't wait to hear the recorded version of that when it's mixed, just because I think the way that we're working with Mario and he's done so many his mixes are just automated and events are flying by and it's almost like a cinematic movie and I think that's going to lend itself to however he approaches mixing that one. It's going to be really cool.
Well, see, I have very limited knowledge because there's only a snippet on Instagram.
Mhm.
So, I didn't have a lot to go by. So when it comes out, I will definitely dig into the lyrics and everything more.
For sure, for sure, and I appreciate you even catching that online because we post so much material on Instagram. So I appreciate the fact that you noticed that there was something new out there. We also, when we're in England, we're going to be taking video, and we'll probably compile some type of video to go with one of these new songs. So it'll be a video shot, in London or something, and with one of the songs on the EP. That's another goal that we have with this trip,
And
both.
well, I mean, it's a trip, it's a tour, it's all in one. I mean, and you may have a little downtime there. I mean, you have three shows back to back, and then you have a day off, and then I'm sure that's travel day, but I'm sure you're going to take a little bit of time to see around, aren't you? Or are
Yeah,
you just
actually, it's
working?
two. It's actually two and two. So we've got London and then Manchester, and that's Friday and Saturday, and then we have the Sunday off, and then we have Reading and Nottingham. So it vocally, I love that because I 2 nights in a row is great, 3 nights is good, 4 nights, you're really risking it. But so
Yeah.
if we could do 2 with the day off in the middle, I can sort of be at my best for all of the shows, which is what you would want your first time playing these cities.
Oh yeah, because you're representing yourself and you don't want your voice to cash out. You really don't,
Right.
you know.
I
And
mean,
I know,
that
and I
being,
know, I know when we get on stage in London, I'm going to be so excited that I will run the risk of just shooting for the stars, and I need to have something in the tank for Manchester. So, Dave, you'll have to
Definitely.
walk me on that. Make
no,
sure
I
I don't do
mean, I'm just worried about that list of 32 pubs that I sent you guys the other day. So we gotta systematically just knock all those off, in between shows. I don't know how, but
that.
we'll
That's
get
it.
around to it. We'll get there.
There'll be a method to your madness, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it's called no sleep. That's what it is.
As long as you can perform
Yeah.
still, because you want people to love you, to follow you,
True.
and to create that audience so, you can step up to the mantle and get more dates over there.
Yeah, that's the idea.
So, looking at your catalog of music, you have you were saying that you wanted to change it up. Your catalog is different. And I mean, I'm not going to lie. Actually, one of your songs is going to be in one of my next book that comes out on the playlist. So, even though it's set in the 80s and 90s, it's still going to be in there because I like the song a lot and it's darling. Because it fit the mood of
Deep cut.
yeah, so
Deep
it
cut.
fits the mood of the book. So it's on the playlist. Not that and the reason I do this, and I'm telling you this, is because maybe somebody else because readers like playlists. They may discover you. And so the more people that put your stuff out there, the more people will notice you.
That's amazing. You just made my day. Darling is a song we haven't thought of in quite a while. And it's one of my favorites. It's one of the most difficult songs to sing, actually.
Why?
So you picked a challenging one, but it's a
Okay.
personal favorite of mine. So I'm glad you like it.
What was the inspiration behind it?
Um,
If you care to share, if not, that's okay.
a lady friend,
I
a
kind of
lady friend,
figured. I kind of figured.
from
Very
far away.
diplomatic.
I kind of figured, I mean, but who knows? So are you going to, because I know you have an EP release show for somebody else's EP, correct?
Right, that's on May 1st.
Right. That's when you're coming back. So are you gonna release a full record or are you going to just release an EP this summer when you have new music come out?
I mean, that's a discussion we can have with our label, what they think, with Mario and with our management. I mean, it's like the Wild West right now. I mean, I see bands and they're like 3-song EP, and then 6 months later, full length record is out, and those 3 EP songs are on the
They're just
record.
condensed and yeah.
Mhm.
Yes. So, I mean, it's wide open what we can do with it. So, I think we really need to sit down as a band and figure out what we think is best, and speak to some other people, because I'm open to opinions. Nothing's set in stone.
I mean, with the people that we have in our corner, it's really it kind of dictates, like, going to England is something that happened really because of the people that are in our corner and the people that Christian has found that really lend support to us. And hopefully, after we get back from going overseas, we can take that next step with these people that can kind of guide us and help us and say, hey, this is what you guys just did. This is what we need now, and we think that this is the best way to release all this material that we have. I mean, we want to push it out because I think there's a lot of it, and a lot of it is really good. So, but we have, another catalog of 30 songs or whatever you have, Christian, that's just there already that we still have besides stuff that's not recorded. So
Right.
we want to get it out. We absolutely want to get it out.
Well, then I have the question of, do you want to do the single a month thing? I mean, I know that a lot of people do that now because it keeps the audience interested, but the fact of the matter is you're also diluting the pool then, aren't you? You're not building up the anticipation of more new music.
I think that's great, but what I don't think a lot of people get is that recording costs money. It's not just about having ideas. I mean, I don't think there's a lack of there's never been a lack of ideas. within the Ritualists, so we
That's
could
true.
do something like that. But you know, the money is limited, the resources are limited. So that would be a label, that would be a Mario question, and or any producer to be involved. But if the demand were there for it, we could deliver that. But also you have to think about things like economic realities with that. I think that puts a lot of pressure on
This is
people outside of just the artists. Wouldn't you say, Dave?
we went from what physical graffiti to a single a month, with a thumbnail. I want physical graffiti. I want a double album, and the material always lends itself. Christian has a concept. I don't even know if Christian knows this, but I feel like there is a concept that runs through things, and it's a record is a record. The way that it's
Right.
presented is a record. The lyrics mean something. I like records.
Yeah, I have to agree. We're old school. We like records.
I like records. And here's the thing, there is a pushback on the fact of everything being digital. People are starting to want
Yeah.
that tangible. And that's where if you play the long game, the pendulum's swinging back to that. I mean, people are going back to cassettes. Let's think about that for a second. Cassettes that degrade, which I still have. I have a whole milk crate of cassettes, by the way. Yes, from back in the day. But people are going back to that, and they don't want to keep paying for subscription services. They want something tangible, which then also brings us to the other fly in the ointment for all creatives. If it affects me, it affects you, which is AI. The
Right.
person that sits there and puts in a prompt considers themselves a musician and they're not. And it's the same thing with a writer. I put in a prompt. I'm now an author. No, you're not. You're a prompter. How do you guys feel about AI or generative? Let me rephrase that. Generative AI.
Go ahead, Dave.
I don't know how to feel about it.
And if you
Wow.
don't want to answer the question, that's okay. I just
Oh no, you got to answer that question, right? I mean, I don't think it's cut and dry. I think it's the intention of why it's being used, and if it's being used correctly, and you know what it is, and you're not trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes, it could be valid. I mean, I'm
Um,
sure I've used it on this thing to find something on the internet at some point,
but
but
that's different.
oh,
Generative
and I
AI,
know what you
yeah,
mean.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just clarifying for
For
the people that are
creative
listening. Yeah.
purposes and saying that you're a singer songwriter because you can um doesn't cut it in my book, I don't think. But
Christian, do you have an answer or no? That's okay if you don't.
I think a lot of AI generally, I hate to say this, but I mean it's a shortcut to thinking. It's a shortcut to creating. But I mean at the end of the day, it's another tool. So maybe we will find a way to use it creatively where it can actually enhance the creative methodology or the experience. So, I mean, if you think of it like a hammer, you could use a hammer to hammer a nail, which makes a lot of sense. You can also use a hammer to bash someone's face in, which would be a crime. So there's good and bad
well
with
put.
most tools. And I mean, currently I'm not a big fan of it, and I certainly don't want to listen to any AI generated art or view any AI generated art. But if you have a basic question that you have and you ask ChatGPT something and it gives you an answer that's helpful in some way, I guess it's a good thing.
I recently found myself in a Tesla, and the gentleman who was showing off this car to me was putting on music, and it was Guns N' Roses, but everything was re-recorded. It was AI versions of all these songs with a real vocalist on top of it. And what scared me is this guy had no idea that he was listening to Guns N' Roses, but everything, 80s playlists, that was not the real music. It wasn't real music made by real people at all. And somebody finally, like three or four songs in the back seat, was like, "Hey, can you put on the real versions of like, these songs?" But it's scary, There's some
Yeah.
people that you can't hear it, and it's only going to get better,
Well,
at replicating human,
oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, MIT came out. You were talking about how ChatGPT can give you an answer. MIT came out
Mhm.
with a study that actually says that ChatGPT and OpenAI, those kind of sources, are actually telling you what you want to hear in most cases. and
Feedback
that
loop.
there's a detriment that they're not making you smarter. And I'm just saying in general, I'm not talking about you personally or anything like that. This is
Yeah.
that it's making people dumber. It's
Oh,
making them think less. And it's like, okay, so we're losing critical thinking because let me type into a computer.
I 100% agree
Shortcut.
with that. That
Yeah.
does not shock me at all. But what this might do in the long run, I'm trying to see a silver lining here, is it might put a premium on artists performing live. Because
Mhm.
as it stands right now, AI can't put on a live rock show
No.
or a live concert musically, right?
And neither can half of our heroes at this point. They're all lip syncing. I mean, if we're going to keep going that way, AI is that next step. And no, you need to identify it and break away from that immediately. Like musicianship will become a premium. The real thing
Right,
is not going to die. Absolutely not.
right.
Well, look, what
So
was it?
it
Go
might
ahead.
help us in the
Yeah.
end. It might,
Yeah.
it might be something that makes, a ritualist show more unique because we're not miming or
Hmm.
something like that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, what was it, 10 years ago when they were starting to do like Tupac and Whitney Houston and putting them in a hologram and have them sing along,
Mhm.
which is not the same exact thing because they're just playing an overdub, but
Sure.
where does this change? No. And to your point about Guns N' Roses, when Celine Dion released a song, her cover of I Drove All Night, my friend's daughter was in college and she's like, oh my gosh, this is the best song. I just love it. I'm like, that's not an original. And she's like, what? Of course, it wasn't an original for Cyndi
Or
Lauper
would
either,
Cindy did it?
but
Yeah.
yeah, it was one of those things that's like
Hmm.
each generation has their own version. But when somebody's deliberately recording it and they don't know, you have to tell them. You have to say, this is AI. Pay attention.
Sure.
Now,
Yeah.
to be a
Well,
not, go ahead.
Well, I think actually Dave and I geek out even deeper than this as hardcore music fans, rock history fans, where we'll talk about bands playing live. And for instance, I'll have conversations with my friends about going to a Radiohead concert and going to see, a band like The Verve or something. And they're both sort of contemporaries, but the concerts are completely different because Radiohead get on stage and they do it exactly like it is on the record. And it's great. It's very impressive that they can sound just like the album, right? So that's one slice of the pie. But then you have the alternative to that, which is seeing a band like The Verve, or back in the day, if you listen to old Doors concerts live, like every time they did the song, it was like a different animal. It was like a unique experience for the ticket buyer, for the concert goer on that particular night. And those bands can be a lot of fun to see live. And I mean, now we're so far from the idea of an AI type
Yeah.
performance. When you're talking about every night we do this song and it's going to be a little bit different. The solo is going to go this way, or the singer's going to change
Mm.
this, the vibe at the end of the song, or what he says, or the lyrics. And I think that's really cool. And I think there may be even more of a premium put on bands that are capable of improvising a little bit live. I'm not talking about jam bands per se,
No, I know.
but it's a band that has the chops and the capability of going off on little tangents that take the audience on a unique journey for that particular night. And maybe bands will get more into doing things like that because I think that's cool.
I would love longer set lists. That's one thing because we have the ability to do that. We love
Yeah.
to do that, and it's just a matter of time. Time, physical, actual time on stage to be able to
Right.
explore those avenues. But if you're one thing that AI, and this will probably age poorly, will never have is it can't inspire itself. So when we play, this is sounds like a big head or whatever, but if you're listening to people that inspire you, you start to play a different way, and that makes everything an event or everything special or the potential to be special and different. Sometimes you fall flat on your face, but I'd rather pay someone to see that than just stock, hologram avatar with the same playlist and the same thing that you saw 13 nights, previous.
Yeah,
That's not interesting.
feeding off the energy of the crowd, and as an audience member, getting a sense that, man, anything could possibly happen here. This
Happen.
guy could say anything. That guitar player, he might completely screw up and fall on his face, or he might do something brilliant. I think that is one of the allures of a live rock and roll show. And right now, Suede, I mean, these guys are, I think they're in their 60s, and they're touring every single night. If you look up their set list, it's a completely different show. Every single, and they have a group of people who just follow them around and go to every single show, and they get a completely different experience every night of the tour. I think that's really
That's
cool.
cool.
It is. To your point about AI, one thing it doesn't have the soul, it doesn't have the passion, it doesn't have, and that's what makes being a creative and making art, whatever kind of art you make, is all about. If you don't have that passion, then it's going to feel flat and the audience is going to know it. And to
Right.
your point about shows, I saw Depeche Mode in the 90s a couple of times. And Depeche, they sounded just like the record. In fact, they sounded so much like the record that they ended up putting out a concert record that basically was,
Is
was
it
slightly different.
101 or yeah,
It was Songs of Faith and Devotion, I believe.
Devotion? Okay.
Yeah, and then they have the concert record. And it was just kind of like, it sounds the same. It's a good show. It was a good show, don't get me wrong, but it was just one of those things
Right.
like, wow, you really nailed that. And part of me as an artist sat there going, now, were they really singing or was this lip sync? So it was just too clean, too perfect. But, who knows? It was a good show, but
Yeah, you never know for sure. But yeah, I mean, look, that's very impressive to be able to recreate exactly what you've recorded. That's impressive. But I think giving the live experience something a little bit special is also maybe, you could find a happy medium.
well,
That's the best way to do it.
I think the last time we talked about me going to Live Aid and the fact that Led Zeppelin's performance at Live Aid, it was bad. It was very bad. It was so bad that they didn't want it re-released.
Right.
Duran, Simon had the bum note that was heard round the world. That was the headline because his voice cracked in the middle of a high note. And
Right.
so but the thing about that is, and it goes to your point about each night being special, that it could be total garbage, but most of the time when you're in that crowd, you are so
Yes.
wrapped up in the emotion of the crowd and being there and present that you're forgiving of those moments.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd rather hear his voice crack than have him lip sync.
True. Very true. Very, very true. So when you got the call about being on Wish, because I know, see, last time we talked, you were trying to get that done. And so
Right.
when it actually happened, how was that for you?
It was exciting, and what's great about Simon's show is that I think he takes real pride in the fact that he chooses the song that's going to be played. So we as a band were discussing, like, I wonder what he's going to play, and we were taking bets on which song it would be. And
You owe me money.
yeah, that's true, because Dave called it. It was You Know Better. And it was cool because when he introduced the song, he said, they have a lead single off of their new record, but I'm not playing that one. I like this one better. And then he played, in typical Simon fashion, So I mean, that shows like he's really listening. It shows real care. And that's really impressive for somebody on his level to just take the time to do that. I mean, it's an honor.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, for him to sit there and decide that song verse, that means he listened to the whole thing.
Right. Right.
And
Which,
yeah. So that's got to be kind of a I don't know. I don't want to say a warm fuzzy, but it's got to be a feather in your cap because somebody that you've looked up to has listened to your work.
yeah. And commented positively
Hmm.
about the music, and he played a song off the prior record, Baroque and Bleeding, and the fact that he's come back for more, so to speak, shows
Glutton
that
for punishment.
yeah, yeah, he didn't hate it, so that would be really cool. And certainly if I get to meet him, I will remind him that he has played us on his radio show, and see if he
Definitely.
see how he reacts to that. It would probably be pretty comical.
Well, that's kind of why if he's played you twice, that's kind of why I said you never know. He may show up at your show.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
he
He's
recognizes
actually
the ritualist, go ahead.
Yeah, he played the first track that he chose off Baroque, which was not a single at all. I mean,
Yeah,
you know better. We have a video for it. But the on off of Baroque, he chose the song "Forbidden
Forbidden
Love,"
Love. Yeah,
which was not pushed at all. And the PR company that was pushing us was they weren't advertising that single. So he went in and he played that and he played it multiple times that season of the show. So it was really cool that he took a liking to it and then he played this new one. So maybe he'll play it a few more times. Let's hope.
Hopefully. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I know Christian and I have talked about who inspired him to play. So, David, if you need to go stir your sauce, you can. David, who are your idols?
oh my God, I have to look over. Everything from the Beatles to ZZ Top. I mean, to Yes. No, let's stop at Yes. We'll stop at Yes. Um, I mean, with the AI thing, and okay, not to get back to that, but I almost feel like we're playing punk music now because in the current climate, we are now punk. We're DIY. We're actually playing real instruments,
Okay.
if that makes any sense. So anyone that's out there actually playing real instruments, that's inspiring to me now. I mean, the fact that we live in New York and you can go out and I can see the greatest players in the world, and young kids, like really young kids I'm talking about. Like that's the stuff that I'm finding inspiring. We're all, Bowie we obviously love, 70s prog we all love, 80s synth rock, everything from Depeche Mode to Kaja Gugu to, Van Halen in the 80s, which I love the synth poppy stuff, which we argue about often, but we really listen to everything.
But who inspired you to play guitar?
Ace Frehley.
Okay. Why?
That's it.
Why?
He's so cool.
I know, but I'm just trying
I
to,
mean,
you know,
everything about him. He looks cool. He sounds cool. He was the rebel of the band. Although Christian would tell you that Peter Criss was the rebel of that band, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, what more could you want? Hot shot guitar player from the Bronx. That's all you need.
when did you pick up the guitar?
For like third grade.
Wow.
Yeah.
Acoustic or electric?
Electric technically, but there were acoustics lying around the house before then. But my first was actually like a small Fender Strat, like a student model,
Mhm.
small body, and I wish I still had it. But I got rid of that, sold a bunch of stuff to get a Les Paul because everyone has to be like Ace Frehley. So
So I take it somebody else in your household was a guitar player?
yeah, my dad knocked around with one for a while. So Hot Blooded, he used to play a lot. Late '70s, kind of stuff. So failed Zeppelin attempts, that kind of thing.
Hey, we all pick up a guitar. Well, not all of us, but most of us pick up some kind of musical instrument because we have the dream of being a rock star.
Absolutely.
We may
For
not
sure.
ever pursue it
Mm.
like you guys, but we do try occasionally. At least one performance in our lifetime, hopefully. So, where do you see yourself in, I would say, a year from now?
Hopefully touring, playing more. I mean,
Hopefully back in Europe playing shows. If they like us, then we'll come back.
and we got to get back down south by the end of this year too. For some reason, the South enjoys us and we love them, so we try to go there. We were going like twice a year for a while, but
Yeah, yeah.
we haven't been back.
We've had a focus on this upcoming tour, so we've somewhat neglected the South, and that's a mistake because we do well down there, and I think it's because they really appreciate live rock music, where the band actually puts on a show, and they're not shy about spending, buying the records, buying the t-shirts, and that's really how the band truly makes money off of these tours. So it enables us to go down there a lot, because we know we're always going to be all right financially doing so, and it's so much fun, and all of those little, I call them like craft cities down there. They're so interesting, and the food's great, and
So
people
good.
people show up at a show in Chattanooga with Ritualist shirts on and eyeliner, in Chattanooga,
Just
Tennessee.
kind of like,
Nice.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking actually, but so we really get a kick out of it. So it's a lot of fun, and we made a lot of friends down there, and all of the guys who run the venues down there are really kind to us. and welcoming. So
They-
that's another goal. Is
They're
to get that
invested, and when they're invested, it just makes you more invested.
100%.
So what came first, the friendship or being in the band together?
Oh, the band
Wait,
for
this is a
sure.
much longer story though, because okay, so was it 5 years before we were in the band? Um,
Um, it was a little before I was actually, yeah. So
right.
so I was in a musical. I was the lead in a musical called Save the Robots.
Wait,
Okay.
I have to interject though. So knowing what I know from the production side of this musical, they needed a rock star. And somebody fell in love. I don't remember. There were two producers on it, Christian or something like that. But someone saw you at a
Erica,
show
her name is
and was like,
Erica.
"That's the guy." So
Okay.
they brought the rock star into the show that I was affiliated with. But anyhow, go ahead. Sorry,
Yeah,
had to
no,
clear that up.
that's fine. Yeah, yeah, interject as you like. Yeah, so this woman saw me performing with my band in Brooklyn, just at a show, and asked me if I wanted to be in a musical, if I'd ever done musical theater. No, no, I hadn't. Would you please come and audition for this thing? And I found myself in this show as the lead, which made a lot of the cast members very unhappy because they were like trained musical theater people, and I didn't know what the heck I was doing.
Awesome.
I was the lead in the show, and Dave's girl was
Was
involved
it
in the production. Yeah,
directing or something?
yeah, yeah. So Dave and I guess we like saw each other from across the room, but never actually, spoke.
Mhm.
Um, and, go ahead.
Well, 5 years later, or about then, I was in a band that I just recognized was not going to go anywhere. So pulled the escape hatch and answered an ad. Was it? Where'd you post that, Christian?
Oh God, I think it was on
Was it
Craigslist.
Craigslist?
It might
Oh,
have. And
the
yeah,
dregs of the dregs.
yeah.
Like,
And he came out, and he auditioned for the band, and he there were other guys who knew the material better. But I remember
they
speaking
still
with my
do.
drummer at the time afterwards, and I was like, "What did you think of that guy?" And my drummer was like, "Oh, he's okay. He's like he didn't really learn the songs entirely." I said, "No, he didn't." I said, "But he was a better player. Like the guitar sounded better when he was playing it, and he has the potential to be really, really good if we start working with him." I said, Dave actually reminded me a bit of Jeff Beck, the way he approached everything, and I liked that, and I dug it, and we took a chance and went with the guy who didn't learn all the songs, and it paid off because he's stuck around.
But see, you have to look at this, and I'm going to go with the metaphysical event thing here. You guys crossed paths before. You didn't
Hmm.
necessarily connect, and then it comes back. My late husband and I, we actually worked down the street from each other. Did not know. I took a
One,
class, and this teacher's telling me how I need to take another class to meet this person in there. I'm like, okay, it was his ex-girlfriend who he was still friends with. So I start hanging out with her, and him and I meet, and we got married and everything. But see, this is what I'm getting at. We worked down the street from each other, most likely passed each other several times at restaurants and everything, did not know each other. And so I think you choosing Dave and you having that intersecting point prior, it most likely was fated. But
yeah, yeah. I think there's a lot of truth to that, and actually one of the reasons we're able to have such of an enormous catalog of original material is because Dave is such a quick study. If some of these songs have a lot of chords, not intentionally, but I write chords to go with the lyrics or to go with the vocal line. And Dave he's on it with these chord voicing ideas, and you show him something once, and he's able to just do it. And I've worked with musicians in the past where they're more human, and it's much more difficult to churn out new material because you spend a lot of the time just like trying to get somebody to memorize the chord progression or something. Dave does not have that problem. He's just the minute you show him something, he remembers it, and so it makes my life a lot easier as well. So I think my instincts were correct with him with the audition when I saw that in him.
Well,
I don't play guitar, but I totally geek out
you play a little
for great
bit.
guitar work. I love guitar players. I love a band with a cool guitar player whose guitar parts sound like he's, an alternate vocal line and stuff. So I really listen to the guitar.
Well, and I want to say, Dave, unlike better, your guitar riffs, the song is a very heavy song. It's a good
Mhm.
song and it's upbeat, but there's a heaviness to it. And your guitar adds this lift to it to bring it to a different level where it lifts up that heaviness. And it's not a bad, I like that song a lot. I do.
I
It's
love that
just
song, actually.
the guitar just changes it a little bit. The heaviness I like because it's got that good drive to it, but then you add the lighter to it.
Everything, honestly, is everything dovetails with the keyboards. I mean, you know what Christian's going to sound like. You know that it's going to have that. I call it that early '70s growl. I mean, you know what I'm that Ampeg early '70s thing. We can build on top of that, but Jeff does so many amazing things sonically that just fitting the guitar lines in there with him is. I mean, he's amazing. I wish he was here on this interview because he could tell you so much more than I know about just the sonic things that the band does. But that's where that comes from. It's really just working together to fit it all in.
Well, that's the important part about being in a band is working
Mhm.
it all together.
And
And
he's an
even with your,
amazing player, so
yeah. And
it's
then
it's
having that producer take it to the next level is even more important sometimes.
and
Yeah.
it's you have to trust people. I mean, with the producer, we've sat down and sometimes somebody will say, I didn't like the way he did that, but I would have never thought of it. And sometimes, somebody comes up with something, and I wonder how Christian feels when it's like we're murdering his children or something. Sometimes you got to take into, that maybe I shouldn't do that because he wasn't hearing it quite that way. But everyone does that, takes it into account, and tries to weave around each other.
Well, that
Yeah.
go ahead.
I think it's like when you're working with these guys who are I mean, Mario is working with David Bowie. He's worked with Prince. He's mixed T-Rex live recordings. His approach to the band and the songwriting and the song structure was very enlightening because I started out as a drummer and
Hmm.
Mario is a drummer first and foremost. So his first instincts were let's set the table, set the foundation in a very specific manner rhythmically. And that's very different from Ed, who did Baroque and Bleeding. Ed is much more interested in what's on top. Ed was masterful at mixing the vocals and the vocal effects and having the guitars and the keyboards swirling all over the place, which I love as well. But for Mario, it was like, let's focus so much on the foundation. And it was a great opportunity for us because for two Pure to Cure record, the stuff it is dancier. So it requires that sort of mentality, I think. I think Mario was uniquely qualified to mix these particular songs. And I think we all of us learned a lot from him about the
Absolutely.
approach.
Do you find that with the way the world is, I'm just speaking in generalities, is it a, are you writing differently as far as your songs and your music? Are you writing more inspired or are you writing a little bit more dark and brooding?
We've always been dark and broody.
Yeah, I think dark and brooding is what inspires me much of the time.
Okay, fair
But
enough.
all the poetry that I like, most of the literature that I read, it's a lot of escapism. I mean, I'm not trying to be Bruce Springsteen. I'm not into the heavy messaging stuff. I respect that stuff, and I think it's cool, and I think it belongs in the world, and it's good that it's there. But I want to take people into another world with our stuff. I want to be like, oh, we're in another dimension. This dark, psychedelic, glittering place that's completely removed from everything I deal with every day at work or whatever, or the craziness that's going on with current events. So that I mean, with us, I think it's much more about escapism.
Well, that's kind of where I was going. I should have said escapism with the more positive vibe because we all do need an escape right now.
Yeah, I think we always do. I mean, even when things are going great, it's still, I think it's like um psychologically, like it's like a purification ritual, going to a concert. Like that's why we're called the ritualists. It's like a purification ritual. Like you go to this place and you have this experience that is completely, takes you out of your routine, and somebody who makes you think or view things a little bit differently. And I'd like to believe that lyrically, if people can even understand what the heck I'm singing, I hope some of them do, that I kind of give them a different perspective on things. So in that way, I guess we impact the real world. But the majority of my stuff is it's flowery, and it's meant to be otherworldly. That's intentional.
Do you ever have people come up to you saying how much a lyric meant something to them?
I have, yes. It's very flattering. I do appreciate that when people notice my lyrics. And it's happened on a few occasions.
Or when
What?
people sing them back to you, and it's just, whoa.
That is, yeah. I mean, it's part of our. It's actually become part of our live show, where we have the crowd sing the chorus of "Painted People" back to us, and that song was actually written about my experiences with my friends on the Lower East Side. So that has become something of a ritual every show, and we get people to do it wherever we are. We had them doing it in where the heck? Oh, in Philadelphia a few weeks ago, and we'll get them to do it in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's become a thing. It used to just be a New York thing, but now I make it my mission, my goal of the show is like, by the end of this concert, I'll have their attention enough so that they'll sing back this lyric when I ask them to, and that's what usually works. So it's refreshing and rewarding.
Well, you have the audience in the palm of your hand if you can get them to do that.
Yeah, that's
So,
the idea.
what is your dream gig?
Live Aid. There we go. I mean,
You'd have to have a time machine to go
yeah.
back.
Right. You mean
Well,
like
you
something?
you put us on a playlist for 1985. Did you say where it was? You said it was the
This book
80s.
is set in the 90s, 95. It's set in
95.
95,
Okay.
yeah. But
So we
still,
almost got in a time machine with you to go back to Live
almost,
Aid.
almost.
Almost.
And I'll be fair, the book is called Goldie Licks in the Bear Brothers Band. It was supposed to be a retelling of Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I write rockstar romance, so I decided to play it a little differently. And Goldie Licks kind of sounds a little perverse, but she's a female guitar player.
Well,
So,
I have to ask, is the King's X song Goldilocks in your playlist? It
no,
didn't make it?
I guess I should. Well, I haven't finished the book yet,
Okay.
so
Okay.
it could end
Give
up
that
there.
track a listen. Good
I
track.
will. I will.
You
Because
can you can give David credit on the on
yes,
the
I
book.
will. I will.
Right.
I'll give him a thank you if I put it in there. But yeah,
Suggested.
so I decided, like I said, Goldie Licks. I'm like, well, it works both ways. It's perverse if you want to go that route, and then so yes,
As
you're
as far as as far as the dream gig, like a gig that's happened already that we would like to have been at, or something.
no something
Oh,
in the future. I mean,
I
he went
mean,
with Live Aid, but I was talking about in the future, something that you could actually do.
I think that the coolest thing would be I mean, obviously Madison Square Garden. That's our backyard, and that would be, incredible. But like live at Pompeii,
That's
playing
pretty.
amongst those ruins, like just setting up and doing a show there, sort of like, Pink Floyd did way back in the day. I think it'd be incredible. And I think it suits the band thematically as well. I think we would fit in really well at a place like Pompeii if they would ever let us do it.
How about Fiddler's Elbow? I think is the gig that's going to be my number one gig
Camden Town.
in
Camden
London
Town.
on
That's
Friday
it.
the 17th. That's the gig. That's the one.
Mhm.
After you've achieved that,
Yeah.
Mhm.
then what?
Then
Um,
Pompeii or Vesuvius, but Vesuvius would probably explode if we showed up. So it's
The
we'll stick with
Acropolis,
Fiddler's Elbow. Yeah.
the Acropolis in Athens would be great, like Yanni, but
I was going to
different.
say we'll all have the mustaches.
so, if you could collaborate with one person, who would it be?
Dave, you should answer that.
No, no,
Well,
no. You each get a shot here. You each get
Yeah,
a shot.
you answer first, Dave.
Deceased or living? What
Doesn't
are there any
matter.
parameters?
I'll give you, it's
Oh,
wide
you
open.
can't do this to me. I mean, Miles Davis, but he would just run me out of the room. So yeah, I don't think that could happen.
Okay, so
Um,
somebody that you would feel more comfortable with.
Christian Dryden.
Oh no.
No,
That's it.
that's cheating. That's cheating.
You can say it's another vocalist, Dave. I won't be hurt. Don't worry.
Oh, well, then
That's
we're just
okay.
talking dream bands. Then it,
Yeah,
then it
basically.
becomes like any like just plop me into Yes or plop me into King Crimson or something like that. And
What about
that,
Kiss?
that absolutely
Okay.
any day.
Okay. Okay. And Christian.
Let me think. A particular artist. I mean, as a co-write, I really think it would be interesting to write a song with Brian May,
Okay.
just because I love his ideas.
Hmm.
Um, but I mean, I mean, I also love Nick Rhodes from Duran Duran, and I think it would be really cool to see what he would do, even just to have him. I know he does production as well.
I talked
Just to
to,
hear,
go ahead.
yeah, he did a Dandy Warhol's record. That's really cool. So I think Nick would be incredible producing this band. I think his ideas. I'd love to see him working with our keyboardist Jeff, who is a Nick Rhodes fanatic. And I think that would be a dream gig for this band to have Nick Rhodes producing this.
I got to talk to Lamal about how that all came about for Kaja, which was pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I read
Oh,
about that. That didn't he see Nick in like a restaurant and he was a
He was
waiter or
working.
something?
Yes, he was a waiter. He was a waiter
Wow.
at a restaurant and he took a shot and went over there and said, "Hey, I'm in a band." And yeah, he produced
And the
Too
rest is
Shy by
history.
Kaja Gugu.
did he do that
Yeah,
whole record or just a
Yeah,
single?
the whole
Wow,
record. Yeah. So we talked about
that's
when
cool.
Lamal was on last summer, I talked to him about that, which was pretty cool. But
yeah.
yeah,
Lamal checked out our video for the wake and dug it. We have a quote from him on our site about it.
That was cool.
He dug the video because the never ending story
hmm
comparisons I spoke about in the PR leading up to it. So I love that song, and I mean I love Too Shy. The bassist in that band in
Oof.
Kaji was incredible. I can't think of his name offhand, but he's great.
Smoking. Yeah.
Yeah.
I keep thinking is Nick Beggs, and I don't think that's it.
No, that's it.
Is it?
That's it. I
Okay.
think that's Beggs, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
I follow him on Instagram. He puts out really interesting stuff. Like he's invented things for the bass. Like the guy is, on
Wow.
another level,
Wow.
actually.
One of the funniest things I talked to Lamal about though was this is going to age me and you guys aren't going to know what we're talking about, but Donnie and Marie used to have a variety show back in the 70s.
Mhm.
And they had these white microphones. And so Lamal starts, besides singing on the podcast,
Nice.
he's talking about how he really wanted one of those white microphones when he started performing. He's like, I just wanted a white one. And he's like, I've never gotten it. I'm like, okay. But it was
Well, one
amazing.
can dream, I guess.
Small dreams, but sometimes. So
He's a heck of a singer. I mean, he's a great
yes.
singer.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really impressive.
he broke out into song many a times on the podcast,
Oh
which
my
was
God.
yeah, it was kind of funny. He just started singing. I'm like, okay. Um, so what do you think? What is your biggest hope out of this whole tour that's coming up?
That's
Which I know
a
the
great
obvious.
question. The biggest, I mean, the simple basic hope is we are, it goes over well and we can come back and do it again. I mean, that's step one. Um, Obviously, a bigger hope would be we make some sort of connection that elevates the band, and we end up, getting onto some type of national tour. I think that would be a major success if something like that happened. So I think it's going to be really important for us to get in front of the management over there and get introduced to the people they're working with, and hopefully we find a partner to go out and do more things with. I think that's probably probably the big goal of the tour.
And then I can say I've interviewed them twice when they were a smaller artist, and now they don't have time for me anymore. No,
No, we'll always have
just
time for
kidding.
you. I mean, it's not like back in the '70s or something where you would have to fly in and then sit there across the table. We can
This
just
is
we can do this remotely anytime.
this is true. And I'm really disappointed because last time when I ended the podcast with him, he told me I'm going to bring somebody back and we're going to wear costumes. You didn't wear a costume.
Oh, I said that?
Yes.
No, I said I would dress better. Because when I didn't mean a costume. It's
Well,
just
you
like
were talking
I
about
was.
a hat and everything else. This is what
Yeah, I
Drop
think.
the ball.
Yeah, no, because Ravi had set me up with a few interviews before this one, and they were like, I had gotten like tried to look presentable, and they were just like phone interviews. So I'm like, and I thought this was that, and I was just like
you
in
were
in
fine.
lounge gear. So I promised that I would try to look a bit more presentable for this interview. We should take a few screenshots so we could use it for the to advertise stuff. Yeah.
I will put some screenshots up and I will also do some promo stuff. But I mean, I've relaxed now. I'm wearing a t-shirt. Last time I was all dressed up. I'm like,
Um,
after going bald, it's kind of like, you know what? Everybody else is comfortable. It's
Okay.
time for me to be comfortable too.
and how are you feeling, by the way? How are things going? You had said you were doing all right.
I'm doing all right. I mean, it got bad at a certain point, and I was still, as I was telling Dave earlier, I was still doing the podcast and continued to go through, even being bald. Um, and I bought a wig and I wore it for a couple of podcasts, and I had this guest who Leaf Blower, a heavy metal guy group, that they had a mascot where the band would all wear a mask. Um, so one of the guys in the band, who there was two I was interviewing, he had a mask on, and I thought to myself, if I'm going to go bald on any podcast, this is the one to do it because it's already outlandish. And after that, I went completely bald on the podcast, and that was it. I did the podcast up until my last two chemo treatments, and then I couldn't do it
Um,
anymore. So I took
well,
about
you
a
have
month
to
off.
keep. I think keeping to the things that you love and keeping to your routines that you enjoy, at least, I think that's important, right? Mentally and just to
The
keep you
the only thing
sort
that
of
kept me
grounded.
the only thing that kept me going during the worst of it was I would come in here and write. I would come back into my office because I couldn't do the podcast anymore. And that's what I told Ray at the time was I needed to do the podcast because it kept me going. It kept me motivated. It kept me being social
Mhm.
because I couldn't really be social outside. And
Right.
when it got too bad, I would come in here and write. And that would be
Mhm.
the life-saving thing. It's always about being creative. I don't know about you guys, but if you don't play music for a while, at least for me, if I don't write, it starts taking me down. So I'm sure if you guys were not playing for a while, even under the worst situations, there's still going to be that call to you.
You have to do it. Yeah.
So,
Even when we don't rehearse for a little while, we take time off from that. I get antsy. I start to feel a bit down. So
mhm.
absolutely, I think you're right.
But at least for you, you can always start singing.
Sure, but there's something about being in a room, with
On
the
tour,
band.
when he's singing in the bathroom, and that's all you hear for 4 floors. Four
Stop
floors.
it.
The manager's calling up. What is this madness? Why is he amplified? I'm like, he's not amplified. He's in the freaking shower. Like,
I'm a loud singer. Yeah, I'm allowed.
Well, as long as you're not keeping up other guests, it's okay. I mean, there's other ways that it could be more distracting for guests, which we won't talk about, but singing is okay. It's okay. So, is there anything that we have not really talked about that you want to add?
I think we've covered a lot. David, would you like
yeah,
to add anything?
I don't think so. We haven't said Eric's name, so I just want to say Eric's name
Yeah, Eric
and
Hubie,
include him in the conversation.
And
we
Eric
miss you.
Eric is who?
Drummer,
Okay.
and he's
Because
a great guy.
And a great drummer.
Yeah, sure.
and this
He's
coming
all
from another drummer, so it's going to be important you say that.
right.
Well, I thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you
Thank
for
you
having
so much.
us.
Yeah, this was fun. And hopefully we could do it again.
Hopefully. So, as I said in the introduction, it was about a year ago that I talked to Christian, and it was when Too Pure to Cure came out. And it was a record that I absolutely adore. I still enjoy listening to it. And the one thing when we talk about music, it kind of fits moments in our life. It gives us hope. It gives us the ability to dance. It gives us emotion. It gives us feeling. And that kind of goes to the AI conversation we had as well. Because as I said during that, it lacks, AI lacks depth. Generative AI lacks depth. It lacks passion. And recently, I think I had made mention of this not too long ago, that I did a book with somebody. Well, it was more along the lines of I was presented with this book and this person wanted help. And I remember when this person, when I'm going through the manuscript and I had no ideas, I had never fooled with any kind of generative AI with prompting. So I know nothing about what prompts look like. And there was some notes I ran across that kind of made me question things. But there was one scene in particular that really stood out, and this talks about lack of passion because the character had not seen their mother in X number of years. And when you look at that, there was no emotion. She was just like, oh, not to mention her mother was being tortured at the time too. And there was nothing. There was no emotion. There was no anger. There was no, it was just kind of like, and an AI is not going to understand that feeling. That AI is not going to understand, that there's going to be abandonment. There's going to be pain. There's going to be happiness because she's still alive, maybe. There's so many mixes of emotion, but there was none. And so when you take that and you put that toward music, recorded music, we're not talking live because that's a whole different beast. And I kind of agree that that is a premium thing because you're having a live experience. So when you take that to music, if we are creating the same kind of music or AI slop, however you want to call it, that just repeats and is nothing that is passionate, nothing that is creative. I mean, when I listen to certain music, if I think back to certain songs, there's certain songs that have a sensual quality to it. And if you took the passion out of that, how would that work? Donna Summer's Love to Love You Baby is a great song. And when she talks about recording it, she talks about laying on the floor and getting into the vibe and the mood of it. If you took her emotion, her feelings, her mood out of that, of how she's taught, she was told to basically sing longing and aching. If you take that out of that, what do you have? You have music, you have a track, but the sensuality would be gone. And so you can't create that if you don't know it. And I'm sure AI eventually will know those things and create those things, but it lacks the human experience. And we're not even going to talk about the environmental concerns of the water usage and the electrical usage and the impact, how it raises temperatures. And as I said on the podcast, we talked, the MIT study and what it shows. But going back to the ritualist, Christian had made a statement about it's a ritual to go to an event. And that's the truth. It's the truth of going to an event and having that experience and having that motivation of being connected with people. Because I can stay in my house and not go to the movie theater. But I can sit here and remember a feeling of going to see a movie with a group on opening night. And I think it was Air Force One with Harrison Ford. And how the crowd reacted, how the crowd was invested. Even going to see some of the Rocky movies back in the day, there was a crowd experience. There was an investment of emotion that people were cheering like it was a real fight. And that's the thing. You can't get that by being isolated and not having that human experience. Sure, people are dating the AI generated person, but that's not going to be that connection. And how does this tie into the UK tour? Well, it does, because people are going to come out and see. And just like he was describing, people singing back to him. David brought it up that having somebody sing your words back to you is kind of freaky. But there's also a power in there. And I've talked about this before about being in a skybox, seeing a Depeche Mode show, because at the time I was producing a TV show. So I got perks. But being in the skybox, and when they backlit the audience because they were supposed to sing out to the crowd, I had that moment of being up on stage. Even though I wasn't, I was higher than everybody else, even the performers. But being there and being in that moment, there was that sensation of feeling like you're part of that, feeling like that energy, that feeling of the energy being pulled off the crowd. And we don't talk about that. We are all energy, and there's an energy connection, whether it be a live performance or sitting in a movie theater or even just our daily activities. When we step out into the world, there's an energy exchange. Even the podcast talking, you listening to me, there's an energy exchange. Or me talking to Christian and David, there's an energy exchange. And you have to embrace that and live life. And by doing so, you experience things. And that is something that AI will never fully understand, because it's learning what it is as far as I'm reading books, but it's not really learning. It's being taught. I mean, it's come out like the self-driving car, the Waymo. Somebody else is driving that thing, and in a different countries at some point. It's not always driving by itself. So what we need to do is become more human again. And that's why digital media, while it's great, people are getting tired of the subscription aspect. People want the real stuff. They don't want to go to a show and pay for to watch somebody lip sync. They want the reality. They want the real stuff. And I'm happy that they're going over to London to do this. And I'm sure there's going to be more dates. But that's the thing. We need that connection. And one thing that certain things happened in the pandemic that took us away from that. And we're all still trying to find a new normal. I mean, even for me, and I've talked about that, is the grieving process for me was different. And even having cancer has been different. Because for me, I am having to learn to build a network again. And I still haven't done that, because it takes a lot to be able to do that. So, to wrap this all up for me, when you guys listen and tune in, that means something to me, because at least I know I'm valued. I'm here. I'm having people listen to what we're talking about. It's something valued for my guest. And I get the value of talking to them and then sharing it with you. And so those are the important things with connection. And if you have the opportunity to go see the Ritualist, I would do it. If they ever come out closer to me, I will go do it, because I would love to see them live. I think it would be great. And I'm definitely looking forward to new music coming from them. So on that note, now that I've stepped off my soapbox about energy and live music and everything, I hope you enjoyed the show today. And if you really did like it, tell your friends, subscribe, follow us, because it means a lot. It really does. And, you taking the time out of your busy day to listen to us, even if it's for one episode, we still appreciate it. Because I understand, and I've talked about this before, I'm no fool to think that you're going to listen to every episode. And if you do, I thank you, because I have some people in Germany that do. And I am very happy that you do. But I also know that there's also the casual listener that's going to tune in for my guest. And that's okay too. But thank you no matter what. And I hope you have a wonderful day, weekend, evening, whenever you listen. I'd like to thank Fast Susie for the music. I'd like to thank Christian and David for both coming on the show. It meant a lot. And it was a great conversation. And I'll catch you next time, guys. Bye.